upside. So it's good to see that there is some recovery, but honestly today's recovery is no measure of what lies ahead. Still a lot of repair work needs to be done, Tanya, before we can convincingly say that bulls are back. As of now, I would say it's clearly double advantage pairs.
Okay, let's bring the experts on board then this evening. Joining in Jyotivardhan Jaipuria, who's Head of Research at BOFAML, and Ajay Bodke, Head Investment Strategist and Advisory at Prabhudas Lilladher. Gentlemen, many thanks for taking time out for us. Ajay, I'd like to begin by asking you, what's your assessment of the market as April has started out? We haven't done very well, of course, today being a bit of an exception. What do you think is going to be shaping up the market fundamentals going forward?
I think there are 4 or 5 key variables that one needs to keep in mind. The first is the budget session is on till 10th of May, and the market is putting in a lot of hope that some of the crucial bills pending, like the pension, insurance, and the land acquisition bill, the Parliament is able to clear those bills. Now, obviously, with the fractious polity, there are concerns that some of these bills might not go through unless the government is able to evolve a consensus and convince the principal opposition party on the demands that they have made about carving out a special 23% niche for the FII holding and then allowing 49% holding in pension and insurance. Whereas in case of land acquisition bill, although industry has its reservations that it will up the cost of acquisition of land, I think at least there will be some finality and a clear roadmap about land acquisition, which has held back a lot of projects. The second point I think that the markets are closely watching is the increase in plan expenditure from 4.2 lakh crores to 5.2 lakh crores in the current financial year. Remember that in November, December, there was a very sharp 20% cut in plan expenditure, which will manifest itself in the top line numbers of many companies in engineering, capital goods, construction, and infrastructure sectors. The hope is that in the next 2 quarters, I think as the money starts flowing in, many of these sectors, along with some of the other allocations in education, health, etc., we'll start see reflecting in the top line of companies. The third point I think is clearly the attempts from the government to revive or assistate the moribund investment cycle. In the PM's speech in CII, he was most categorical in ensuring that $20 billion worth of projects in oil development and exploration will be cleared, which have been pending for years, in 2 weeks' time. And this he said last week. 5 have been cleared, 31 more blocks will be cleared, along with 12 coal mines with 37 million tons of fresh coal approvals, along with a host of measures he announced of simplifying the environmental and forest norms for linear projects like roads, railways, transmission lines. So a lot of reforms are happening through administrative fiats, if not on the legislative side, because of the precariously perched political situation. Another point is, I think that,
Ajay, I'm tempted to get Jyoti in because Jyoti has been shaking his head. Maybe he's in disagreement with you. Let me find that out, Jyoti. You're shaking your head. Are you in disagreement with Ajay? I know when we interacted last, you clearly made a case that it's time to sell market down and earnings are likely to disappoint on the lower side.
Yeah, you see, ultimately the sell-off comes or doesn't come depending on where the fundamentals are going. And there was clear weakness in the economy, there was weakness in earnings. So my call for the last 2 years has been that earnings will see downgrades, the economic numbers will see downgrade. And unfortunately, I continue to hold that call that analysts and economists are still too optimistic. Till this downgrade settles down, till we get numbers which come in line, which start surprising analysts, I think, the markets will always remain edgy and in range-bound manner.
Ajay, you want to jump in on what Jyoti indicated, that earnings are likely to disappoint because the macros are looking bad.
Yes.
The fact that growth has taken a hit and consumption is slowing down. That's a valid argument, isn't it?
Yeah. I think, insofar as 4th quarter earnings are concerned, I think the numbers that we have penciled in clearly show that the revenues will grow only at 6% on a YOY basis, which is a 13th quarter low. And that essentially is manifestation of the fact that aggregate demand has simply caved in. And I do agree with you, Nikunj, that consumption which was growing at 8% between FY06 and FY012, CSO estimates that has caved in and will grow at only 4.5% in the current financial year. For first nearly 11 months, 10 months rather, we have exports of 11 months. In fact, exports are down 4%. Albeit we have seen marginal improvement in exports in January and February, and the trade gap has slightly narrowed down. And on investments, all of us know how the investment numbers have, the gross fixed capital formation numbers have come down. Coming to fourth quarter numbers, on the bottom line side, we are expecting the EBITDA growth and PAT growth to lag top line growth, and EBITDA to only grow by 5% and PAT by 3.4%. So the moderation in input prices, commodity prices, as well as the accommodative monetary policy leading to lower interest rates will not get reflected in this quarter. But then that's I would say that this will be an eminently forgettable quarter insofar as numbers are concerned. But looking ahead, I think the positives that are listed out also need to be balanced with the negatives. And the negatives essentially are, and all of us know, and we have been one of the first to flag off, a large current account deficit and the fact that how it is not sustainable. RBI governor has gone on record last week saying that it's not sustainable and we need to bring it down. And the worry is policymakers are only concerned about how to bridge the deficit, not how to curtail the deficit. I haven't seen any policies to up exports or to ensure that imports.
Right. Jyoti, let's bring you in on this. Where does the dust sort of settle down from here? How much more downside to go, you think, before we can call it near bottom?
There are two ways you can have downside. One is you can have a market doing nothing for a year. So in some sense, because of the time correction, you get valuations which start coming cheaper. The other is the markets fall and then start moving up a bit. So some of that depends on where other markets are going, what are the international news flows that we are getting. But if we look at the results season again, it's going to be one where nobody is really going to get excited about the results season. Results will be weak, and I think we'll have FY14 numbers which are looking extremely high from the analysts. They'll see a lot of downgrades. So, at least that is going to be a negative for the market. If there is some other events which help, maybe, oil is coming down, so that's one thing which probably is helping. If we see a big pullback in oil, RBI may have some room to cut rates, which may help cap the downside on the market.
Ajay, in the last 1 week, everybody that we've spoken to on this particular show has said that the markets will go a lot lower. What are the levels that you're working with?
I think I'm looking at a broad range of 5,400 on the downside and 5,800 on the upside. Obviously, I think, if global risk aversion were to spike, and I think, the US Fed minutes do give an indication that there could be an earlier than expected withdrawal or premature withdrawal of ultra loose monetary policies. Now, if that happens, then I think an economy like India, which is looking to bridge $90 to $100 billion of current account deficit in the current financial year, primarily relying on fickle FII flows, FDI flows, which anyway are down 42% in the first 11 months, and short-term debt. I think so these other two components become more important: debt, short-term debt, as well as FII flows. And any risk aversion spiking clearly will have grave implications insofar as our BOP position is concerned, our macroeconomic stability is concerned. Rupee could get wobbly, and that could then feed in terms of the equity markets. So I think that is a downside I clearly see to the hypothesis that I am building in. On the upside, as I said, I think many things have to get we have to get them right for us to decisively breach 50 levels.
Jyoti, the key risk to Indian markets is obviously liquidity. Unfortunately, global liquidity has reversed. Do you think if global liquidity reverses and if foreign institutional investors they decide to take some chips off the table, then we could be staring at some more downside?
Valuations are close to lucrative levels?
Yes, there are lots of pockets we are looking at, and if we have to think beyond 1 year, somewhere, margins in India are 18-year low. Sales growth in India is the third lowest it's been in the last 20 years. So to that extent, one can argue that at some point we are probably staring close to a bottom of the earnings cycle. Maybe we have a spell of strong earnings over the next 3 years, 4 years. And when we look back 5 years later at this, we say, oh, that was the time to start accumulating stocks. So, that is one thing which we have been highlighting to investors that, yeah, the next 1 year probably is going to be tough, but that's the time maybe you should accumulate stocks. If we get a decent government in the next election, we could see a spell of recovery in earnings, and we could see some of these stocks then recovering quite a bit. So, it's not just, the valuation which you have to look at, but whether, you're looking at valuations at a time where earnings are at a very low point for that company, and where, the company could deliver maybe a 25% earning growth compounded or a 20% earning growth compounded, and then you see some of these things doing very well. So there are stocks like that which you are monitoring, but those are exactly the stocks which probably over the next 6 months are going to struggle. So it's, what is your time frame, whether you want to buy early or you'd rather wait till things work out and buy the stock 15% higher. That is what one needs to decide.
Ajay, finally leave us with 3 ideas. First idea, high risk, high return. Second idea, low risk, low return. And third, a multi-bagger idea.
Well, I think I would look at sort of, some of the top IT names as a hedge against any sort of, wobbliness that the rupee might encounter due to concerns on the CAD, and also the fact that the US economy is on a far firmer footing today than it was, say, a few quarters back. So from that perspective, I think Infosys and Wipro in the large cap space and NIT Technologies in the mid cap space in IT, I would be looking at advocating taking a medium-term bet. On the autos, I think on the two-wheelers we are not so positive, but I think on Maruti, the sharp depreciation of yen will be of a great benefit to Maruti. 25% of its costs are in yen-denominated terms. Also the fact that last year was a terrible year for them because the labor troubles that they had and one of the factories was shut for many years has prepared a very nice base for them. So I think, although the volume growth might be tepid for the industry as a whole, but I think Maruti will post very good numbers for FY14. That's one stock one should look at in the medium term. Tata Motors, today's numbers of JLR were very good, and that is one stock I think we would recommend on the auto space. Insofar as banking is concerned, they still worry about the NPA problems dogging the performance of some of the large public sector banks, and we would rather look at some of the private sector banks like ICICI Bank, Yes Bank, and the smaller Jammu and Kashmir Bank with a medium-term outlook. On the oil and gas, it is Cain India and Petronet LNG that we are looking at, and in case of resources, it is Coal India. On the FMCG side, it is ITC and Britannia that we are looking at.
Right. Ajay, Jyoti, gentlemen, really appreciate your time and thank you for your robust and wonderful insights. Representatives from the 3 big global rating agencies will meet finance ministry officials to discuss India's sovereign ratings. While India's twin deficits remain a concern, finance ministry is expected to maintain its stand to bring down the deficit.